Welcome, everybody, to the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we cover Peaky Fookin Blinders. It is a show that I adore. I have watched every single season religiously as it's come out, and it's one of my favorite shows ever, and I'm very, very glad to be able to sit down and talk about it with my fellow nerds here. Some of them are first-time watchers. Jude is another long-timer like me.
Which you got me into the show.
I did.
And I marathoned it like last year.
Oh, no way.
Along the way, I was like texting you and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Right.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, I was the original one.
You were? Okay.
Watched it as it aired.
I watched it as it aired, too.
Charles is supposed to be here with us, but he
Couldn't make it today.
But Dutch is
I am the
watcher.
Peaky Blinder virgin.
Yes.
Yeah.
First-time watcher.
Charles
First-time watcher.
also has never seen it before.
Really? Oh, that's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because he loves to analyze crazy things.
Yeah.
And you just show me some cool shit.
Show me some titties, which I haven't seen yet.
And better make him jerkable.
You better make them, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
The caveat is jerkable titties.
Yes. So we will be covering
We have so
Peaky
many new scales to rate movies and shows on now.
It's you're not going to get that reference unless you watch the Anaconda review. But anyway, we're going to be covering Peaky Blinders season 1, episode by episode, discussion, breakdown, scene by scene, having a great time.
For at least all of season 1.
For at least all of season 1. And if this picks up and we get a lot of comments and a lot of views and people so share this. If you're a Peaky Blinders fan, share this with your fellow Peaky Blinders fans. Share it out there on social media. Let people know that we're covering it. Because if we get a good amount of views and we get a good reaction from the fan base, we're probably going to do it more. So we're going to base this is like a trial error, a trial period.
The pick with us wearing the hats? Who has that?
I think he's got
I got it.
He's got it. Yeah, we did it. We did a little mock photo shoot with some Peaky Blinder hats and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I
They
really
have razor blades in them.
I really love this show, and I'm really looking forward to sitting down and chatting about it with you guys. So we're going to cover it. It's going to be heavy spoilers. So if you haven't seen it for whatever reason, just be aware. We will spoil things, but we're going to try not to spoil things that are past the episode that we're talking about because I don't.
We've seen one episode.
Yeah,
the first episode.
First episode.
So this show was created and written by Stephen Knight, who also created one of our other favorite shows, Jason Momoa's C from Apple TV.
Oh,
You didn't know that?
I did not.
No way.
I
Yeah,
did
man.
not know that.
Yeah, so the creator of Peaky Blinders created the world of C. In addition to that, this was a Netflix original show. And the reason that it's called Peaky Blinders is because it's based off of a real life gang from the early 1900s. And they would basically sew razor blades into their hats and use them as weapons because people wouldn't expect the hats to be deadly. And so what they would do is they would take their hats off and swing it at people's eyes and blind them with the razor blades cutting through their eyeballs. And that's how they got the term Peaky Blinders. And this is basically a fictional account of this gang as they go through the 1900s rise to power.
Mm-hmm. So this show captured me the minute I saw the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about the vibe. There was something about the cinematography.
I know what it was about. It's because you're boys in it.
Sam Neill's in this
Neill's
one? Dude. Okay, here.
You're like, oh, Sam Neill.
No.
You texted that to the group last night.
Hold on. I know you did. Hold on, though, because I didn't know Sam Neill was in this show until after I started watching it. So I was like, oh, Peaky Blinders. That sounds interesting. I'm going to check that out. Like, I love old school gangster stuff. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I like the show Warrior, which was originally on HBO. And now it's on Netflix. You can go check that out. It's 1800s gang war from San Francisco, starring like the Asian gangs that are fighting for power in that time. It's the same vibe. I get a lot of the same, and it's interesting that Wayne Knight created this show, which then he went on. Steve Knight. Wayne Knight is from Jurassic Park. Another Jurassic Park reference. Steve Knight created this show. He also created C, which was worked on by Jonathan Tropper, who created Warrior. It's like this weird little circle.
Oh my God.
Weird little circle.
Incestuous.
Yeah. But I love the style of this stuff where it sets a mood the second you start watching it.
And it was kind of funny because when Jude and I sat down to watch the episode, it starts off with like an Asian couple.
We're going in the Asian market.
I was like, we were both like, are we watching? Wait.
Are we watching the right show?
I was like, did you accidentally put on Warrior?
I said the same thing when I was watching this first episode.
I did not remember how this started.
Yeah, me neither.
But it's interesting because Cillian Murphy, he plays Thomas Shelby, the main character of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And when Stephen Knight was casting the show, the characters, Originally, he wanted Jason Statham to play Thomas Shelby because
I can see that.
Yeah, because it's Jude's
Fuck
favorite actor, and basically he
The guy
said,
that ruined the Meg series.
and he basically said that that he had kind of like the tough guy feel that he wanted for Thomas Shelby, and after he met with Cillian Murphy texted him because like he comes off as a very soft spoken guy, and he texted him. He's like, "Remember, I am an actor. I can act tough."
Well, I don't. You know what though? Because I don't see when I see Jason Statham, I immediately think of like Snatch and Lock and Stock,
Expendables.
No, not Expendables. I'm talking about like British gangster stuff. And yeah, Statham's great in those roles. I have no problems with him in that. But I think what Cillian Murphy says,
I was wondering.
what Cillian Murphy brings to the table is that
We all
silent.
know about it.
I've heard it both ways.
No, you
It's a
haven't.
GIF or GIF.
You just decided.
What Cillian Murphy
went with
brings
the
to the
wrong
role
one.
is that silent horror. Like he is quiet, he is reserved, but he will freaking destroy you.
I know that he
Yeah.
fought for this role.
Yeah, I'm thankful he
and
did.
it was well earned.
Because I don't think anybody else, in my mind, after seeing Cillian Murphy do this role, I'm like, there's no other Thomas Shelby. Like he is that character.
I mean, I don't look at Oppenheimer and go, that's a tough guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a completely different role, though.
But, you know, it's just like I see some skinny dude, but I'm sure that's going to change as the series
Oh yeah,
goes
dude. The
on.
more you get into this show,
So-
you're gonna see.
He's very quiet. He's very subdued,
Mhm.
and like you can almost see the gears in his brain
That's what I like. about it.
grinding as
Yeah.
this show goes along. And like I said, I've only seen the first episode, but by the time we get to the end of this episode, you realize really quick that this guy's thinking 6 steps ahead
Yes.
of everybody else.
He's playing chess.
Yeah. Everybody else playing checkers.
Yeah. Except
And-
for Sam Neill's character, who
Right.
I forgive me, I forgot his actual name in the show, but his detective, the detective that Sam Neill plays, he's the only other person.
Jim Bell Tyson.
It's not Jim.
Bell
Don't do not bring that evil upon me, Ricky Bobby.
Detective Tyson.
Do not stamp that
That's
upon
what
him.
that's what I'm calling him for the rest of this show.
For context, please. No. For context, Jim Bill Tyson is a character
Still
that
dead.
Sam Neill played in Apple
Oh my
TV's
God.
show.
If you're watching
episode.
us, you know.
Yeah, one
5
episode.
minutes.
Well, this is for people who are just watching us because of Peaky Blinders.
Oh, they know.
There's an episode where I watched the show specifically because Sam Neill was in it, and they killed him in the first like 30 minutes of the episode, and he was never in any other episode since. And it's
Apple
the joke.
TV's invasion.
Apple TV's
Their
invasion.
entire marketing campaign was based
all. Look, coming off of this, right? And he's a fantastic villain in this season.
Oh, he's so
I
good.
can't wait for you to see.
All right.
But coming off of this, and then
Inspector Chester.
Tyson.
what is it,
Damn
Jude?
it. IMDb just said Chester CH ... So
Okay.
I'm looking for it. now.
Detective, whatever. He's great in this role. And I love that Sam Neill doesn't normally play the bad guy, which he's not necessarily a bad guy in this show either. And this is another one of those things where this show, there's no good, bad. It's all just shades of gray.
Mhm.
And there's antagonists and protagonists. We're actually rooting for the bad guys in
You're
this
just
show.
rooting for the person who has the most charm and
Yeah,
charisma.
Like you're rooting for the criminals in the show are the ones you want
We
to
like
win.
the bad guys.
Chester
That's why
Campbell. Sorry.
Chester Campbell.
That's why
Thank
we
you.
all liked The Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly. You're rooting for the gangsters. You're rooting for the bad guys.
Warrior. There's no good people in Warrior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're all shitbag thieves, murderers, and gamblers and whores.
Yeah.
It's like those are our people. man.
This is the same thing in this show.
You know, it's
Same
like,
thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But this opening scene that
Same
really
thing
just
in this
establishes, we're the bad guys in the podcast.
We get around.
Yeah.
This introduction to Thomas Shelby, where he's just riding through the slums of Birmingham on his horse, and you got the song in the background, and it just sets
Good.
such a great mood for like, oh, I got to know more about this guy. Like, why is he riding a horse through the slums of Birmingham? What's happening here? And the way he looks, with he's got his hat on, it's covering his eyes. It's all very mysterious. Everything about this opening scene, I just absolutely adore. I have a great time with it.
Mhm.
But
And it's all part of a ruse.
yeah, it's all part of this fake gangster mentality.
Uh-huh.
Dutch, you've never seen this movie
No.
before? Talk to me. What was your first impressions when you?
Well, I just told you. I go. They set this up with him walking on the horse
Mhm.
through Birmingham, Chinatown, or whatever it is, and I still don't know what exactly he was doing because it's all very subtle, and the music's playing, and he goes in there, and the the lady blows some red shit on the horse, and I guess they're doing some kind of Chinese voodoo blessing thing, and
Sexy drug, witchy powder.
Yeah. And I'm like,
there's lots of witches in this show too.
you know, I mean,
which is my favorite thing.
I know
they do some cool stuff with this episode, but this episode, and I'm assuming probably the next one too, and it rightfully, needfully so. It's character introduction.
Yes.
That's all this episode is. It's character introduction, and it's showing us some weaknesses and some positives for like most of these characters, a little bit of their personalities, and you know, and they're showing us that I see. I don't even remember the names of the characters.
It's going to be a while before
you know, and they show us that, you know, Cillian Murphy's character is, like I said already, he's 4 steps ahead of everybody else.
He's the brains of the operation.
And he's not the oldest, but he is the one that is the most business.
These guys are all World War I veterans.
Yep.
And they have a brotherhood there. And, you know, it's like
they're all traumatized.
They're all fucked up. They all got PTSD. They're all opium addicts or heroin addicts. And, you know, and they're running the mean streets of Birmingham in their little Peaky Blinders gangster club. And that's where we're at. And
I feel like if we're going to talk, because Birmingham sounds like Alabama, but I feel like we should say Birmingham. If we're talking about the UK.
It's the mean streets of Birmingham.
Birmingham.
And, you know, and they do a very good job of setting the scene. Like, you know, it's grimy, it's dirty, it's ugly, everybody's poor, everybody's alcoholics, everybody's fucked up. You know, people are
post-war.
You know, it's gross.
Yeah, post-World War I.
It's not a time of the world I would want to live in.
I mean, that was trench warfare.
Yeah.
These guys have been in the shit.
They've been
mental health was not a word that anyone knew about.
Well, they didn't. I mean, Danny, the character Danny in this episode that we see kind of, you know, he's basically a plot device. By the time you get to the end of it, you're like, oh, I see what they're doing.
That's the guy.
He goes a little nuts, right?
The guy that stabbed the old guy.
Yeah, he's PTSD. He's kind of freaking out, but nobody.
He keeps regressing back into what happened in the war.
Yeah. And he's like, you're a human, Danny. You're fine. You're fine. It's okay. Like they're trying to pull him out of it. But like there's no, in this day and age, they used to just call it shell shock. There was no kind of term for it. Nobody understood what it was. It was just like, oh, you went to the war. You came back a little.
This guy has an entire family. He has to keep taking care of.
Before we go any further, I would like one of you guys to just really quickly break down like the 4 or 5 main characters. I think there's Cillian Murphy. Well, there's the mom.
There's the Shelby family.
I want to know who the people are in the family. I want to know who these people are.
So the Shelby family consists of Arthur Shelby, who's the older brother.
He's the
one. He's the gruff guy.
Okay.
Who used to be in charge.
The whiskers.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Gray.
He used to be in charge, but now Thomas Shelby, the younger brother, comes in swinging big dick energy because he's smarter than his older brother. And that's Oppenheimer. That's Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
And you got Polly, who's their aunt
Polly.
Is she the lady that he talked to in the church?
She is the matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
She has been holding this fucking family together during the war while everybody was gone.
Yeah, she's the one that knows the shit.
Yes.
She knows
what's going on.
Well, she's a cold ass bitch.
She's so badass. Yeah. And she continues to be badass throughout the entire series. But
she's the glue.
Yeah.
Basically.
She's the mother of the
glue,
group.
She's the heart, and she's the fucking ball.
She's the character that intrigues me the most almost.
Oh, she's badass.
Yeah.
She's super cool.
I identify with her.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
And there's the sister, right?
And then the sister, Leah, who's Ada, sorry. Who's she's the one who's banging that one dude who Thomas Shelby doesn't like. In this episode.
Yeah.
He's a communist.
Yeah.
So there's the communist
and
there's
the union man.
Yeah, he's the union guy. And he calls everybody comrades. And he's because there's a political balance. And I haven't researched enough. What I want to do part of this podcast too is I kind of want to get some real world education in on this. So I have something to bring to the table for the podcast where I'm like, because there is a lot of political movement going on in this time in post World War I. You got the Communist Party, you got the unions who are building up in the industrial complex. You got these gangs, you've got the Republican Party, you got the Nazi Party that what is starting to build through this time to the 20s and 30s is when the Nazis started coming around. So there's a lot of political stuff happening in the background of the show.
Winston Churchill in this episode.
You get a young Winston Churchill in this
episode.
We do? Yeah.
I didn't pick that up.
So Sam Neill's detective, he goes, basically Winston Churchill is his boss.
Stop.
Go ahead.
So any more family? Mom or the aunts?
Yeah, the sister. And then
brothers,
Polly,
the sister.
Ada, 2 girls. Pauline.
Who's the chick in the bar, the bartender?
She's not part of the
Not a
Shelby
part of
family.
the family. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So she's an undercover operative working with Sam
Who's-
Neill's
She's an
character
agent.
Dad got killed and who was by the IRA.
in Belfast.
Yeah. Her dad was a detective like Sam Neill's character.
And there's a youngest brother, one who's younger than
Finn?
The one that left the gun
Finn?
laying around, right?
Yeah.
So this is when Polly kind of shows up and you get
So
introduced.
to set the stage immediately.
Immediately.
Polly is running the fucking show.
She's the boss.
Like Tommy is the businessman
Mhm.
who runs business because men want to deal with men.
I love
Polly
Yeah.
is the one who's like, you need to handle your shit
Yeah.
behind
And Polly's
the
the
scenes.
aunt.
And
Polly's the
Polly is like, I found your fucking gun.
Yeah.
You're right.
your baby brother was playing
Yeah.
with your fucking gun.
Yeah.
Now,
and
if you-
here is your repercussions
Yeah.
of your actions behind the scenes. Like, I'm not just going to be like, Tommy's running the scene and we're just going to let people like
No. Polly's in
la-di-da
charge.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, she's the one who's like tying the knots and dotting the I's and putting the T's. And she's like, you're not dotting your I's, motherfucker.
I thought they did. I thought they did a
your
great
fucking
job.
gun at home. He's like, oh, I must have fallen out of my pocket. And she's
must
like,
have been
think again, motherfucker. And he's like, I was drunk. And she was like, don't be drunk at home.
They did a really good job.
Yeah.
At setting Polly's character up as the matriarch of this family who's keeping their shit together.
Yeah.
And I love the back and forth.
That was really good. So
Privately, the back and forth between Polly and Thomas in this episode was like
in the church.
It was it might have been in a church or it might have been a little bit after that where he was like, oh, don't worry about it, Polly. This is men's work. We don't have to worry about the women. Don't have to worry about this. And he's like, motherfucker, while you were gone, who do you think was running the show?
Yeah, I feel like Tommy and Arthur and Finn are all like the muscle of the operation, but I feel like Polly is the strength that backs that muscle.
What was?
Well, she keeps them accountable.
You guys are going to hurt me, but do you know what I'm thinking during the whole run of this episode?
What's that?
I'm like, man, they're having a hard time up at Downton Abbey right now.
Oh man!
Same time period.
Same time period.
Same time period. Same thing.
This is the underbelly.
I keep on waiting to see Carson walk through. Going to the bar because he's on one of his.
Yeah.
Well, there was a great scene in here between Thomas and Polly where she's like, while you boys were off fighting wars, like we were here holding down the fort.
Mm-hmm.
What's changed now? And Tommy just looks at her and he's like, we came back.
Yeah. So Tommy is he's running this racketeering thing with the horse races. Now they already have like a brokerage or something like that, basically.
Well, they run a gambling operation.
Yeah, they're basically bookies.
The Shelbys have like a betting bookie thing going on.
And and it's been doing fine for them, but it's very low level. It's very local.
It's under the radar.
Right. Thomas Shelby wants them to go to the next level.
Well, yeah, and all the cops know about this shit.
Yeah, they're all in on the take.
Yeah,
they're all in on the take.
On his way up,
yeah,
he makes a few mistakes.
He makes a couple mistakes, but he tries to use them to his advantage.
He hires some people who were unreliable.
Yes.
Oh, my men must have been drunk.
And in this episode, so they stole they stole some packages off a train or some kind of a shipment. I can't remember specifically.
I thought it was they were getting one thing, but they accidentally got another.
All right, hold on.
So
so there are two things going on in this episode. The first is the horse racing bit,
right?
Yeah,
with the gambling, and then the second thing is a shipment of stolen weapons. Now, with the horse racing thing, I know that you mentioned that you didn't really follow what was going on there.
Not a lot
early on. So basically, when Tommy rides out into the wide open air of the slums and the Chinese like blow that stuff into the horse's face, he wants everyone to think that the horse is getting juiced, getting drugged up, because the next day the horse is racing.
Oh, okay.
And so basically, like everyone who knows that the horse is more likely to win because it's drugged up is going to place bets and they're going to win.
I don't know if it's drugged up. I think it's they believe so much in their faith, and this witch is like blowing a blessing onto the horse that everyone's like, oh, well, they got the juju.
Whether it's a blessing or whether it's drugs, like everyone knows that this particular horse has an advantage going into the race.
Yeah. He's got a leg up.
And so Tommy's whole plan is like he wants people to win off this horse up to the point where the odds are so in its favor that then they can like kind of like fix the race and have the horse lose. Now, the second part is that basically Tommy wanted to steal some petrol motorcycles
Mm-hmm.
off of a shipment. And it was like a government shipment or something like that. And he like
2 motorcycles, and they grabbed the wrong cart.
well, what they did is they stole the wrong shipping container.
Yeah.
And it was filled with guns meant for like
The British government, basically.
Yeah.
yeah.
So they stepped in it.
yeah. Basically, they had like ammunition, some machine guns, like all types of stuff. And what the government has going for it here, and this is Winston Churchill's thing when he shows up, is basically they're worried that these weapons were stolen to be sold to the communists who are rising into power, and they want to get these guns back before their enemies are armed, but they don't want anyone to know about it, which is why they bring in Sam Neill's character on the down low, because he's got experience dealing with like the IRA and like all these other like political organizations that might want these weapons. And when Tommy found out that he had these weapons, he was like, oh shit, like I really stepped in it. But throughout the course of the episode, he gets it in his head. It's like, well, wait a minute. If I have something everyone wants, I can use that to my advantage.
Yeah.
And so like those are the two like kind of parallel storylines going on that show Tommy's evolution as a criminal mastermind.
Yeah, he's trying to build his family up to the next level, and by doing so, he's making some mistakes. He's taking some real big risks as well. Like his brother with the horse racing thing is more of like authors thing. Yeah. He's like, hey, you can't freaking bet on this. He's upset because he's rigging this bet. He's like, are you rigging races now? Because that's going to get some attention. If you start rigging these races, we're in deep shit. And Tommy's like, trust me.
Don't worry about it.
We're good.
About it. We're
Don't
good.
worry.
We'll figure it out.
Also, if Polly had been handling this whole thing from the get-go,
It wouldn't have been fucked up.
she wouldn't have hired fucking drunk guys to grab the wrong fucking shipping container.
Women power. Women are so much smarter than dudes. It's true. It's very true.
I don't know if I could cheers with that.
We're going to cheers.
Okay.
Gonna drink to it.
I like women.
Me too.
Women are good.
So there's
jerkable tits.
There's 3 different plot lines kind of going on here. We've got the detective plot line, we've got the horse plot line, and the which is tied to the detective one. The horse race.
I thought you said whores.
Horse.
We haven't
They'll
gotten
come later.
there yet.
They come later.
They don't come.
The dirty hooers.
Another really interesting character introduction in this episode is for the spy, basically.
The barmaid.
The barmaid spy.
Okay,
She's working.
This is where I'm a little.
So she's working with Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she is the daughter of a detective who died fighting the IRA. Now she's trying to put her ring in her hat in the ring of taking down these gangs and taking down these.
Not a lot of jobs for women in this time.
Is she the one that was singing in the bar?
Yes.
And when
Tommy Shelby,
he walks in,
and he's like, "Are you?"
And everybody's like, "Oh fuck!" And they all turn around and singing.
Yeah.
And he's all like, "Yeah, nice song."
Well, I love that. That interaction was very interesting.
Yeah.
Because the bartender, the guy who owns the bar, was like, "I can't hire you. You're too goddamn pretty."
Yeah.
Like this is.
But is he on to her? Does he know?
No, nobody knows that she's a spy.
Okay.
They were just like, "What is this beautiful woman?"
Oh, so we're going to set up some kind of love interest backstabbing.
Well, what she did is she basically sold herself on the fact that she's a good singer, and that actually like calms down a lot of like the urge to fight and brawl.
Which is true because she shows that where
she's going to fall in love with him.
The bar is full.
Some kind of weird thing. She's going to have to decide if she's going to backstab him.
You've seen a couple TV shows before, haven't you?
Like, I know where this is
the
going.
entire series.
Well, that's it, guys. Last episode of the podcast.
Gonna get some moral quandaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Definitely. They're setting some stuff up like that. But
she comes in, she wants a job. She's like, I just want employment. And the guy's like, you're too pretty. They'll have you in a corner.
But then she starts singing to him, and she starts
like,
pouring the spit. What do they call the spit buckets or whatever?
Spittoons.
Yeah.
She's like, just watch and listen. She starts singing. She's emptying these spittoons, and they're
it's like gooey.
It's pouring over her fucking hand. She's just like, Irish tune.
She's doing way better than that, though.
How dare
you? You know how I always say human beings are gross?
Yes. Spittoons?
Human beings are
gross.
Yeah.
Fucking gross.
Yeah. Doesn't bat a fucking eye.
No.
And she's like back in, I forget where.
She's from Ireland, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever town. She's like, when I would work in the bars, I would sing and it would stop them from fighting. And he was like, oh shit, we could actually use that.
It worked though.
Yeah.
Like she goes in after, this whole thing, the bar is full, everybody's there and everybody's getting rowdy and stuff like that. But then it cuts away, they go somewhere else. They come back to the bar and she's singing and all the men are just like,
now I get it.
I feel like
now I know why we have sea chanties and Irish bar tunes.
Yeah, man.
Because they calm us down.
I feel like they stole this from Coyote Ugly, though. If you've ever seen the movie.
I think it's just a fact. I think it's just honestly
Maybe.
a fact. You get a rowdy bar and you get a hot chick who can sing and
dancing and singing.
And everybody's just like,
and people just start like doing this.
Yeah, they fall in love. I mean, it's like a siren,
They've done scientific studies where women's voices tend to calm people down. And that's why, like, in an airplane, if it's crashing and like you're listening to instructions from a female voice, you're a little bit more accepting of your fate.
I have done a bunch of instructionals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, calm down.
Yeah.
Man, if I get on a jet plane or on an airplane,
be alarmed.
If I get on an airplane and your voice comes over the thing telling me how to put the oxygen mask on, I'm gonna lose my mind. It's like, I know that voice.
Mask on first, then help the person to the left or right of you.
But there was an interesting back and forth when Thomas Shelby walks into the bar as she's singing and he's listening to her.
Immediately, he's like, "Are you a whore?"
No, this is before. Because he walks into the bar and he's never seen this girl before, and all of a sudden this beautiful woman's behind the bar, and he's like, "What are you?
Where'd this chick?
This is a weird dynamic."
Yeah, I'm like, "Are you a whore? What are you doing here? You don't belong."
He walks in, he's like, "Oh, I don't have to break anything up. Sweet."
Yeah, but later on, he walks in as she's singing, and there was an very interesting back and forth between the bar owner and Thomas Shelby, and he's like, "We haven't heard singing in this bar since before the war, Tommy," and he's like, "There's a reason for that," and I'm like, "What's the reason, bro? I want to know what the reason is."
Well, also the interesting part about this dynamic is that so when Sam Neill gets into town, he instantly takes Tommy's brother Arthur as like, okay, this is the guy who leads the gang, and I'm going to interrogate him.
Well, he assumes because Arthur is the oldest, Arthur is in charge.
But then, like when he meets up with the barmaid, she's like, well, Arthur might be the oldest, but Tommy's the one who's like secretly running things, and that's the first sign that the detective character has, that basically Tommy's the one that he needs to start focusing on.
Can we talk about Sam Neill's introduction to the police force?
Can we talk about how Arthur is too damaged to be in control?
Oh, that poor bastard needs some work.
He's my favorite. I don't know what that says about me, but I love Arthur.
You're like a dog with a broken arm, you know what I mean?
To the end, I love Arthur. To this day, he's like snorting cocaine to get into character. I fucking love you, man.
One of my favorite scenes in this episode is Sam Neill coming in with this I think it's probably fairly accurate, this Irish accent that he has when he walks into this police precinct, and he just lays down ball busting law to all these on the take corrupt cops. And he's like, you sully the uniform, you piles of shit.
Yeah.
You will earn my respect by doing your fucking job.
Like he's at church.
Yes, man. He's on a pedestal or whatever.
Pulpit?
Yeah, pulpit. Thank you. And he's preaching to these guys, and they're all just like, "Oh shit, the take is over." And then he's like, "And I've brought in my boys that I trust." And this
one of them is a girl.
And these dudes, these like burly looking dudes, just walk into the freaking precincts, and he's like, "These guys will be in uniform and deputized by the end of the day." Like this whole scene just reminded me so much of scenes that we've seen in Warrior.
Yeah.
And I was getting amped up. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, man, you get them.
Horny for the jungle.
Horny for the jungle. That's another Anaconda reference.
I also like that scene where he's talking to Winston Churchill, and he's just so confident in himself, where he's like, if it's the communists, I'll get them. If it's the gangs, I'll get them. If it's like so-and-so, I'll get them. It's like, it doesn't matter who did it.
It's so funny too, the power dynamic between like Sam Neill as a detective.
Yeah, the hard-nosed detective, right?
And Winston Churchill. He's just like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
My guy, I got you. And Winston Churchill's like, oh, well, right, cheerio. I'm going to have a cup of tea.
He's like, if there's any bodies to bury, make sure you do it in the back.
Just make sure it doesn't land on me.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, whatever you do, don't point your finger at me when it goes wrong, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Anytime Winston Churchill's in a show and they just ham it up, I don't even know if they're hamming up. He might have been that weird. I know he did.
He's just a chubby guy with a too long haircut.
I've heard that he's done weird shit in a bathtub with the reporters around, and I'm just like, I mean,
who doesn't do that?
Which president was it that took a dump while he was doing a press conference? I can't remember which one it was. But no, it wasn't Biden. God damn it.
No, he
All
takes.
of them.
No, it was
I'm not gonna-
LBJ? Lyndon B. Johnson? Was it him? I can't remember. One of the U.S. presidents.
All of them.
He had the same Winston Churchill energy. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's one of those like frat boy things. There was like, yo.
I
You know
just
you're
shit
gonna do a
myself.
press conference from the toilet.
Maybe. Anyway, that's your basic breakdown for the episode and your kind of plot lines that are going to be following through for the next season or so. One of the biggest ones, of course, pay close attention to the barmaid, Sam Neill. That dynamic is going to get sticky.
Do you want to talk about the execution of?
Yes, that was really. I was like, they got me on that one.
They got me too. I haven't
They
seen
did.
episode 1 in so long, and I was like, oh shit, Tommy fucking killed
All
me.
right,
Because-
so there's this character, Danny.
Danny.
He has PTSD.
Mhm.
And he keeps having these manic episodes where he thinks he's in the war and he's like having a dream and he's like acting out a scenario that has actually happened in the war and he's defending himself. But in reality, there's just like normal people around him being like, Danny, you're okay. Danny. And he's like fighting
broken,
them
yeah.
or
And it's important
trying to kill
note that,
them.
that Danny was in the tunnels with Tommy and stuff
Shelby.
like that.
Yeah, so Tommy wants to protect him because they've been through the same thing, and Tommy has come out of it with better mental health than Danny has. Danny is
Arguable.
still no different way. Danny is still reliving the things that have happened, and so Tommy really wants to like protect this guy, and he has a family, and Tommy knows that like if anything happens to Danny, like his family's fucked.
Yeah, and he feels responsible for him.
Yeah, this is the early 1900s. We don't have programs.
Yeah. If the breadwinner of the family's gone, your kids and wife are toast.
Yeah. So Danny starts having a manic episode where he is reliving a thing that happened in the war, but he's outside of like a
Peaky Blinders territory,
boutique
basically.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
He's in Little Italy.
He's in Little Italy. He's in the street, but he's like outside of a shop.
Yep.
And he's having an episode and he's reliving a terrible thing that had happened to him where he's being attacked. And the owner comes out and is like, hey, man, you okay? Hey, man, you're not okay. Hey, man,
Basically, you need to get away.
You're gonna damage someone. You're a threat now. And the owner pulls out a knife because it's the 1919 and we don't have programs. And so you have to defend yourself. And the owner pulls out a knife to defend himself. And
Now he was
Danny
threatening him.
Yeah.
Danny takes it and just fucking kills this guy.
Right. And now, this is the interesting thing because they don't outright say it, but they show these two older Italian guys across the street who just watched this whole thing go down. And they never outright say it, but those are implied to be Italian mobster gang members in Little Italy.
Oh no, they flat out say it.
Do they say it?
Yeah.
Say it
but
later.
Like when Tommy's getting ready to, murder what's his name? Danny.
Yeah.
Like he points out those two guys and he was like that was these are the two brothers of the guys you killed.
Mhm.
They are in the Italian
mafia. Okay, I missed that line.
It's like, and I have to take care of you.
Yeah.
To make it right, and there won't be any more repercussions from it.
Right.
Yeah. So
And Danny takes it like a champ.
he does.
It's like I'm fucking basically.
He knows.
Well, I mean, they made that pact back in the day. He's like,
been
listen,
hanging on.
if either one of us goes beyond the point of redemption, then we need to just take out, get ourselves out of our own misery.
Yeah, but when Danny kills that shop owner, so like the options are that the Italians come after him, cut off his dick, and torture him to death, or Tommy shelters Danny, and there's now a war between the Italians and the Peaky Blinders, or
so Tommy says, "I will kill him myself. Please don't start a war."
Right.
Yeah, and he's like, and I'll do it in front of you,
Yeah.
so that you can see that I actually did it.
Yeah.
And so, like at the canal, like the two Italians are across the way, and they're sitting there watching.
And Danny knows he has fucked up.
Mhm.
And Tommy is explaining to him, yeah, you did this. I don't know if you remember it, but you did this. And Danny's like, yeah, I know, I did. I wasn't in my right headspace. And I know I did that. And I know it's bad. And I'm really sorry for like what this means for you.
Mhm.
And Danny is just like, I understand.
He takes the responsibility
that
for it.
what I did comes on your head. And Tommy's like, here's what I have to do. And I know that you understand. And Danny's like, I understand. And he's like, all right. And a ship like a little
canal
border-
ship.
little canal ship.
Well, it's theirs.
border
It's
ship.
run by.
He's like transporting like rice
Yeah, it's a
or
transport
whatever.
boat.
Well, yeah,
Canal
I know,
boat.
but the guy in the boat was
Yeah,
Tommy's
they're Peaky
buddy.
Blinders,
It's the
too.
Peaky Blinder.
Yeah,
boat.
and he's like, and Danny's like, "Is that shit for me?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, we have to get rid of your body once this is done."
Yeah.
And Danny's like, "Please."
He's like,
take
"Don't
care-
put me in mud."
Don't
Yeah.
bury me
Whatever
in
you
the-
do, don't put me in mud.
because I'm traumatized about what happened in the war.
Yeah.
And Danny's like, "I understand. I
Take care of my
don't hold you
kids."
responsible. Please take care of my family." And Tommy's like, "I got you."
He's
bro."
like, give him a partnership, and
And now-
they'll be foremans. I know they'll be foremans. It's
now
so
I have
like,
to
oh.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is like deep.
And Danny turns around. He faces the
Yep.
boat. And Tommy waits until he is in the right position. And he shoots him. And Danny falls onto the boat.
And then the Italians go,
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. And they
You
go
walk
like
away.
this.
very good. Job is done.
Uh-huh.
The score is settled. Whatever you
We're
want.
going to go eat some pasta.
go. But it's revealed
Mhm.
a little bit later. A little bit
Like
later.
45 minutes later.
that
He's all right.
Danny's not dead.
Yeah.
And it was a fake shot.
That gun was full of sheep guts.
Yeah. And he's like, and he, I guess I don't know did he fake his collapse or did he get hit hard enough to knock
Oh,
him
I think
out?
No, because it hurt.
Yeah.
It shot him.
Yeah.
It pushed him forward onto the boat. And I think he knew at that point, like, just fucking go with it.
Just don't move.
Well,
Yeah.
so basically, Tommy took the bullet head out of the casing,
Mhm.
filled it with sheep guts, and then like the thing that impacted him in the back of the head was the sheep guts, which is why Tommy got blood on his face.
Mhm.
Right.
It was all calculated,
Yeah.
but the impact was still there.
Yeah.
It was just like not lethal, and so like later on he's coming out of the undercarriage of the boat,
Mhm.
and he's like, man, my head hurts.
Yeah.
And it's because he got hit with sheep guts.
Tommy needed someone who didn't exist to do his dirty work.
Yeah. I love this because it's another one. It's like, okay, something bad happened. How can I make the most of it?
Arthur would have never thought of it.
That's the whole point of the show, right? It's
And, this,
like,
and this is the part of the show where I'm like, oh, he's thinking, playing chess.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, he's playing chess here.
Yeah.
Not checkers.
Well, there's also that part where, he gets in Arthur's face because Arthur's upset that the horse won. And he's like, of course he won. And he's going to win again.
Mhm.
He's going to win a third time. And then on the fourth time, it's like, he's going to lose. And that's when we
It's like,
make all the money.
And he's like, and then, yeah, exactly. He's like, as soon as everybody gets so amped about putting bets on, we're going to have 1,000 quid bets on this horse.
Yeah, because right
That's
now
fucking
we only have a quarter of the people betting on this horse.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have 50%. And then we're going to have 2/3. And then
Yeah.
we have everyone. We're going to fuck them.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's Tommy Shelby, dude.
I can see this was a really good introductory
Yeah.
episode.
'Cause I know
It's good setup, good character build. I like it. I like
you've mentioned multiple times that you're itching for good TV
it. Yeah.
because there's just a lot of
Not a
shows
lot of
out right now are just garbage, right? This show, and you're starting at a very, I wish I was in your shoes to be able to
Mhm.
relive it because this show gets so interesting
Mhm.
and there's like so many political maneuvers. And then when a certain character shows up, Tom Hardy's character shows up.
Oh Lord.
Fuck, dude, it just gets
Oh,
real.
yeah.
It gets so
Yeah,
real.
it's
It's like,
Oh,
I
I'm so
know
excited.
I'm gonna have a good time with the
Don't
show
say that.
because I'm using my normie barometer.
Okay.
My wife is watching this with me.
Right, yeah.
Never seen it. We're making this we're gonna make this
Oh, like a date night thing?
or it's gonna be our
Dude,
weekly
that's awesome.
show.
Love that.
And usually when I start a new show with her, I'm like, well, we'll start a new show and I'll look at her and go, so you want to keep watching it? And she'll go, not really. I'm like, okay, fine. I just guess I'll watch this.
Was
one
she
by
into
myself.
this?
And we finished this first episode and I looked at her and I go, well, what do you think? What do you watch? She goes, I think I'll watch the second episode.
Nice.
I'll take it. Okay. So that's good.
That's awesome.
She was like, do you want to watch the next one? I was like,
Oh,
no,
God.
That's a thumbs up.
No, yeah, there's a rule we have to set up
Yeah.
because I so badly wanted to hit next, but
Me too.
Yeah.
can't. We have to do it episode by episode because there's so many things that I've probably forgotten by
Yeah.
now because I'm watching season 5 and 6 now or whatever,
Yeah.
like 3 years ago. But just to keep everything fresh and to keep the conversation interesting, I want to just do episode by episode, even though I know it takes every little bit of me not to hit the next button and just watch the whole
I
season.
know.
Just pretend it's
so hard.
1997.
This show
Yeah.
is so
It just grabs you.
grabs you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. But anyway, that's the podcast,
Seductive.
guys. We're going to
The word I
cover the way we cover the episodes. Probably going to be a little bit different moving forward. This was just an introduction, kind of get the juices flowing. But stay tuned every week. If you haven't watched the show, I highly suggest you watch it along with us. It makes the experience of
Yeah.
listening to the podcast a lot cooler.
It's just 1 hour a week.
If you
Yep.
can just do one episode.
If you could just do one episode.
I don't hold you to that.
Anyway, we'll be here for what is it, 6 episodes this first season, right?
Yeah.
So for the next 6 weeks, we'll be covering the show. I hope you guys come along with us. I hope you watch it with us and comment and just kind of relive watching the show.
Did we miss anything in episode 1?
I'm sure we missed a couple of things because we were just getting
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, but that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching the show. Comment below what your favorite moment of the episode was, and we'll cover those things in the next episode. And just looking forward to having a good time with it.
Yeah.
So thank you all for
Comment below what your favorite moment of this show was.
Oh yeah. What? How do you want us to be funnier?
Drunker?
Drunker?
More jerkable titties.
More jerkable
I am
titties?
so sorry. I have killed both bottles of
Good
vodka.
for you.
It's your
Birthday girl.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday. On that note, thank you all so much. Stay salty. We'll see you next week.